Recently, I've been looking for, well, pretty much anything to play that piques my interest. And after going through loads of setups to have both a Microsoft and EA account that were registered under the channel's name, solely for YouTube purposes, I went to stare at Xbox Game Pass, hoping to appease the need to play something. And then I came across a title titled The Ascent, a game made by a group of 12 dudes from a Swedish company called Neon Giant, from a company that I've quite literally never heard of, and had only just released a few weeks ago. And so, I decided, screw it, I want to put some time away, and I may as well try the game out and make a video on it. So today, I play The Ascent, and compile the first 2.5 hours-ish of gameplay into one video. You can kind of consider this a review, if you want to call it, but rather it's just a video on the game that I made, so don't take everything seriously, because I don't want to be sued. But let's get into it. Yo, I'm not gonna lie, this title screen actually kind of looks dope, I'm just saying. You'd think I would start by playing single player, as pretty much any actual person would do. So allow me to tell you that I did the exact opposite of that, and played multiplayer with some other friends. And after quite literally having several loading screens that took several years to actually get through, we entered the quote, lore segment of this video. Yeah, so apparently we're on this planet called Velis, which is basically the equivalent of Discount Earth, and become literal slaves to work for their society, because, you know, obviously, and we're working for the largest company on the planet as a slave in this dank, yes, literally, just said dank, bowels of the planet itself, otherwise known as Discount Earth. And we're also counting our days until we die, so this is now the equivalent of the real-world pandemic, because we're counting the days until we die. So then the company actually falls apart, it files for bankruptcy, and the world is being attacked by some alien dudes, because, you know, naturally. Sounds about right. Hopefully you got all that. Then we get to some character customization, and immediately I realize that females in this game have larger heads than males. Which, by genetics, isn't necessarily right at all. Get it right, Neon Giant, jeez. And then I went shirtless, on a male. Because let's be real, this ain't a PandaPowerSauce video if something isn't how it should be. Nice. This game is basically a 2D top-down shooter, so if you've played Diablo, you know exactly how this might work. And while I've never actually played anything of the sort, I was prepared to give it my best. So in that case, let's get into some gameplay. The first thing I'm going to say is, although the game's going to later be running on all low settings, for what this is, it actually looks pretty great for what this game is, especially being worked on by only 12 people. So, good job on the graphics, Neon Giant. You're doing pretty good out there for your first game into the industry. We're also picking up this currency that's called U-Creds, so therefore it's actually going to be a currency that will most likely be used in microtransactions, because, let's be completely honest here, every major game has microtransactions in some fashion. You just don't see it. Then we're gonna get to this guy who, for some reason, like, looks and kind of like talks like he's part of the Covenant in Halo, and apparently I can just say yes to him as a question as if I'm speaking Spanish to him. So that should give you an idea of just how smart either he is or I am, which in this case is I'm dumb, so he's smart. There you go. It was also around this time that we confirmed that because we were playing in a party of 3, if anyone in your party dies, the game literally just ends and you reset to a checkpoint. Which, I mean, kinda blatantly sucks, because then you're basically saying that you can't complete a mission with 2 people if you have 3 and one's dead. I mean, hey, like come on, can we not do this? So hey, do you want to see how many times we actually died together? Well, you don't? Well, I'm going to show you anyway. Then I found a supercomputer, located somewhere in this facility, and directly installed Windows 11 onto it, because for whatever reason, Microsoft, even though they didn't have any product placement in this video whatsoever, somehow got product placement in this video somehow.
I breached the interface, so therefore now Windows 11 has now been installed onto this device.
Then we found these losers here, who for some reason was trying to rob the place, and then we sent them to the Shadow Realm. Just like how we did the exact same thing to the segue to the fact that only a small percentage of people who watch my videos are actually subscribed. So if you like this video, consider subscribing. It's free, and you can always change your mind. Good God, why did I just do that? Moving on, well, I'm gonna have to explain this a little bit to understand. You see, there's this thing that you can do with certain terminals in the game, or anything like that you can basically hack or, quote, ice them. And because, since we didn't really know what that actually was, and we didn't even know it was a thing, we basically spent an entire hour just running around because we didn't know how to hack stuff. So let's just fast forward an hour until eventually when I'm doing other things.
2,000 years later.
Since I only ended up playing an hour on the first playthrough because it happened at 1 in the morning, I rebooted the game the next day, and this time I was going to play in single player. Primarily because I figured that I'd stand a better chance there than it would be in multiplayer. And after walking around for yet another 15 minutes, I finally realized that I could hack and ice. Good job, Panda. It only took you about an hour. Then finally, I reached the next major area of the game, the Waste Recycling Network. And then I witnessed this pretty dope explosion. But, you know, of course, since my PC is a potato, my PC stuttered for a brief moment. But, I mean, at the end of the day, it was an explosion, and it actually looked pretty impressive. And then this behemoth guy showed up, and his name was Papa Farrell. And, you know, I had really weird questions, like, why was Papa in his name? But we're not going to question it. And to be completely real, this fight actually felt kinda difficult, but difficult in a good way, but also in a bad. It was a pretty solid fight for the early game, but it just kinda surprised me that it was difficult, but that could just be because I'm bad. Let's be real, I'm probably bad, let's just be honest. Then I got this augmentation ability, which, let's be real here, I'll probably forget about it 100%, and I'll never use it. I ended up getting stuck for a little while trying to find the right pathway into the next major area, but when I finally did get to the right pathway, the reward was worth it. Now, that's a thumbnail right there. Then I began my journey into, quite literally, the Warrens, in which I'm going to sit here and Warrens your face in, by wearing certain clothes that you're not going to expect. I then encountered a waiting room on the way down to the Warrens, because for whatever reason the Swedish actually know how to put humor in video games. Kinda surprising. Then the credits started playing for some random reason, implying that I actually beat the game in only 90 minutes. Thank you people for watching, I'll see you later, losers. Alright, later, see ya. Just kidding. I was now in the equivalent of Manhattan. No, seriously, I actually believe that this is what Manhattan looks like from the streets. It just looks like something like this. Alright, don't believe me? Well then, get out of here. I also didn't like how I could open the car doors on certain vehicles, yet I couldn't drive them. I mean, come on, yeah, Giant. I just want to drive a car so I can murder the innocent in the middle of Manhattan, alright? Just give me the rights, man. The city is actually surprisingly big, so it at least makes up for what a lot of people are criticizing the Ascent for, which is that the map feels kind of a bit lackluster when you actually look at it from the grand scheme of things. Welcome to Cluster 13, Population U, as well as the home of weed and sexual assault. Then I went to some shops just to see what they had and what pricings were, because, you know, this is a video game and you gotta buy things, because, again, microtransactions. And I'm just gonna be completely honest, they feel a little bit high for early game, at least right now. Unless if this is meant to be the only major city, which is why I'm gonna say that it isn't the only major city in the game, but if it is the only major city, then these prices do feel kinda high, especially for, you know, new players that are starting the game, but it also makes it feel like you should have been earning more U-creds, in this case currency, and, you know, real-world money, earlier in the game to actually purchase some of these things. But, I mean, hey, it could just be that I'm bad.
Want to get jazzed?
Best man ever in the gaming business for NPCs. Give this man an award. Quick, a news briefing via a hologram. Time for several community-based questions.
This is the feed with your very own Grateful Abbott. The Ascent Group went into immediate default after the corporate AI filed for bankruptcy one subcycle ago.
A subcycle in this game sounds like a day in this world, so it's kind of blazing fast for them to get this news. But even then, how is this news getting around that fast anyway? I feel like it needs to explain the technology just a little bit.
All attempts to contact the corporate board has failed, and we've yet to receive an official statement. The Ascent Group Arcology on Velis has shut down, with some claiming it's gone into default mode. If this is true, without AG security, corporate grab teams will already be moving in. All the luck to them. As I always say, one being's ill fortune is another's opportunity. Stay tuned.
And how can this company shut down that fast anyway? I mean, all the other facilities on Discount Earth, in this case Velis, would have to get the news, and it'll take at least a few days for that to happen, right? On top of that, there has to have been a government on Velis in some degree anyway, so even if a company was going to file for bankruptcy, it was going to have to take a few days for it to get confirmed and done, and all the facilities to get in the know about it, right? And why would corporate grab teams get the news faster than the citizens? Because that's what this is assuming already. And how do they know the locations of near all the facilities on Velis that they do? And why did they do this instead? And just why did they get the news faster? And why did they know where all the facilities are instead of the citizens? And also, if they have the technology like holograms and all these facilities on Velis, then why do they not actually create security systems that would, defend against these corporate grab teams? Just saying. Also, this Poon guy sounds like a pain in the back, making all the citizens work during these conditions. I mean, clearly nobody's going to do this. I mean, he really probably just doesn't want his paycheck now, does he?
No whining, and certainly no slacking off. Business as usual. Understood? Go now.
Hold on, this building's got some really good jams inside. Let me just vibe real quick. Also, this guy sounds like a gibberish monster for a side quest, or literally, a better way to put it, literally every monster in the Covenant in the Halo franchise. Also, he apparently wants me to stasis enemies for some reason. So if you just give me like about 5 minutes, let me call up Link real fast so I can steal his Sheikah Slate to get that stasis rune, because, clearly the game's not telling me how I'm gonna get stasis. But for now, that is where I'm going to stop. To be fair, let me just view the game for what this game is. It's a first game for a new company fresh into the gaming industry, a game built by only 12 people in Sweden. Having battles at the beginning that, as I said earlier, for new players might be a big task, because it does have difficulty. Or I might just suck, again, so it might be really easy. To the surprising high prices of the first shops in the game, it really does make it seem like you're supposed to get a lot more in-game currency than you were getting in the starting area like I was. Or again, I could just suck. The game controls pretty solidly, at least on a keyboard that is. I'm not entirely sure on controllers and jazz. And the atmosphere of the world is going down, and there's probably no government because of like communism or something, is also pretty solid too. So, to conclude, my final verdict really for the Ascendant is in the first 2 to 3 hours of playtime, my final verdict is it's alright. It's not bad, but it's not that good either, but it's alright.